Good afternoon, my conscious co-creators. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. I am very, very pleased that you are all here with me today. We've got another wonderful show in store for you with a fascinating guest, and we'll bring her on in just a moment. But first, of course, we have my blog post from a couple of years ago. And this one is entitled, In Order to Feel Safe, We Have to Feel Heard. On our healing path, there is one thing we often ignore. When we help others, we can get lost in our process, sticking to our steps and our way of helping. It can be easy to forget one of the most important elements. When we are looking to help others, we need to focus on what they truly need. And more than some process or procedure, they need something fundamental from us. It is so fundamental that it is also easy to forget and brush over. For in order to truly help others, they must feel safe with us. Yet in order to feel safe with us, we have to exhibit one important trait. When someone is going through a hard time, they need to know that we will take care of them. They need to know that we care. So how do we show that we do? Through one important experience. We have to help them feel heard, to feel that when they have a concern or a challenge, that we can truly hear them, that we have their best interests at heart, and that we are there for them when they really need us. This is no small feat. To be there in a way that makes them feel truly supported, not in the way we think they should be supported, but in the way they need to feel that they are being supported. It makes all the difference in the world. This is true no matter what way we work with people, whether it is in business or a more humanitarian cause. And if we are in the healing arts, it is paramount. For we can only take people as deep in their process as they feel safe with us. The surest way to help someone feel safe is making sure they feel heard. Just listening to them in a way that they know we are hearing them is worth everything to them. It is just that simple. So who in your life can you support by learning to listen to them in a more profound way? So I wrote this blog post a couple of years ago, and it was after a conversation with my wife. And we had held a ceremony and we were working with some clients. And we have sort of a certain ritual, a certain way we go about doing things. And she pointed out how there was someone there who like had a concern, and I didn't really pay attention to the concern. I didn't really hear them. She picked it up, she heard them and gave them the support they needed, but I kind of missed it because I was too much into, well, this is the way we do things, and we have to do this, and then we do that, and there's a certain timing to things. And I realized that it really, it made such a huge difference to the person to actually be able to hear their needs and to know that they needed to feel safe. They needed to feel supported. They needed to know certain things because of their anxiety and their concerns. So it really kind of like shook me a little bit, and it got me to open up and to realize that when you're working with people, when you're trying to help people, like following some step-by-step formula, following like it's always got to be this way, then that way, it it doesn't really serve the person. It doesn't really serve the individual. And so that's when sort of this blog post came, realizing that for someone to feel truly safe with us, for someone to feel like we truly have their best interests in mind, they need to feel that we're listening to them, that we're hearing them, that we're maybe even picking up those little clues that are in between the words that they're saying. And that if someone says something like, I need a moment, I need a little more time, please don't rush me, we really got to listen to that. The body, and we'll get into this in our conversation with my guest today, but the body only works at a certain speed. Like the mind may know things really quickly, but the body takes time to catch up to that. And so when we're working with people, hearing them and listening to them and not rushing them because we have a certain agenda is so, so important. It's important to help them feel cared for. And ultimately, somebody cannot truly go deep into their process, their pain, their worries, their concerns, their anguish, if they're not feeling from us that we're truly holding them, that we're there to really support them and help them. So that's where this blog post was born from. Um, and again, the title of this blog is In Order to Feel Safe, We Have to Feel Heard. So maybe between now and next week, on our next show, you can practice listening to people and helping them to feel more heard. And of course, you can always find my blog post on my personally branded website, theconsciousconsultant.com. And of course, all over on the station's website, talkradio.nyc/blog. All right. Now, it is my extreme pleasure to welcome to the show Dr. Gina Goldfeder, psychotherapist, author, and teacher whose nearly 30 years of clinical work bridge the worlds of depth psychology and shamanic healing. Her practice draws on Jungian orientation, dream interpretation, psychodrama, sacred geometry, theta healing, and Progoff's intensive journal method, integrated with the wisdom of teachers including Joe Dispenza, Brené Brown, Katie Byron, and Geneen Roth. Her new book, Releasing the Emotional Wound, Shamanic and Psychological Tools to Transcend Trauma and Rebuild Your Life, brings this integration to paper. At the heart of Gina's work is a reframing that changes everything. Emotional wounds are more than scars from the past. Left unattended, they leave unconscious imprints on the soul and quietly become the excuses we use for why we cannot live a fulfilling life. Over time, we can begin to identify with the wound itself, mistaking it for who we truly are. Yet these same wounds, met with awareness and honored properly, can become catalysts for a new personal identity. In her book, Gina shares the mantras, emotional ceremonies, rituals, amulets, and journaling practices she has refined across 3 decades of clinical practice, offering readers concrete tools for turning the very places we were most broken into the ground where a new self can grow. Welcome to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Gina.
Thank you very much, Sam. I'm really happy to be here with you and your
Oh,
audience.
it's a pleasure to have you. It's a pleasure to have you. Um, I really, when I, came across your book, I was really intrigued by it, and it's why I invited you to come on the show. Um, because of just my own personal experience of people that I work with, I've learned that, you know, learning how to deal with our emotional wounding, especially that wounding from a very young age, is something that it takes a lot more finesse and sometimes takes some school skills and some tools that we don't often think of. And so I wanted to come on to talk about this. But I'm wondering if maybe before we really dig into it, if you can maybe give our audience just a little bit of background of like what called you into the healing arts? Why did you decide to become a psychotherapist and sort of just briefly what that path was like for you?
I think that since I was really, really young,
Can you
maybe,
speak up a little bit? It's a little hard to hear you.
do you hear me now?
A little bit louder. You're still a little soft.
Okay, let's see. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Just try and speak up a little bit.
Okay, I will speak
All
loud.
right, good, good. Now I
Okay,
got
so since I was young, I really, really was aware about the suffering,
you.
my own suffering and the other child's suffering. I don't know
Ah.
why, but I was really aware of that. So I
Mm-hmm.
felt really sad when someone was sad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really brave to make a battle against some injustice or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was making bullying or something to another kid. So
Mm-hmm.
it was around that since I remember, since I was
Yeah.
a little kid. So yes, I think that that was the first step for that huge journey till now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, besides the sort of traditional sort of therapeutic track that you took, you also dove deep into other things, the energy healing, sacred drama, shamanic healing. What kind of brought you to some of the more like alternative forms of healing?
Uh, I never stay in the same place ever. I love
Ah,
to I love to learn to I always love to learn new things,
hmm
and I think that this world is very huge just to stay in some point of view. So I really, really learn a lot of psychological stuff. I have two masters and one PhD and all of that.
mm
But also in my own personal journey, I love to meditate. I love the spiritual journey also. And I think that it's kind of both. If we can really, really appreciate our soul, the power of our soul and heart, and not just the mind, we need to
mm
go through that in some point of our life. So that's why.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so your new book, Releasing the Emotional Wound, what was the motivation for writing this book and putting it out?
My mother died in 12, around 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so hard for me, so I started to write. Actually, I wrote 300 pages around that date.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And then after the time has passed, like half year, do you hear me well? Or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
uh, I wanted to make that around that a book, and then I went to a workshop, and I said to the teacher, "No, I have a novel," because we know in these days that the fiction is better to handle than the reality, right? So that's why we take the fiction to write about it, because the reality is harder than the fiction. So she said to me, "You're not ready. This is not a novel to write. You need to really improve that." So that novel still there. I haven't published yet that one.
Hmm.
Then I was there in that workshop for a long time. And one day, one publisher said to me, a Mexican one, "Do you want to write something around psychology?" And 2 weeks
Mm.
before, I was thinking about that, that I was now really prepared around my story life and my practice, my professional practice. I was ready to write something, and I said yes. And they said to me, "Send us 20 pages around that."
Mm.
I said to them that I already had that book, and I
Yeah.
didn't. And I said, "Yes, of course." And then I sent it to them, and they said, "We want that book." So
Mm.
I wrote it in a month, I think, because
Mm.
when you know what you know, it's easy. Everything, I think, almost everything. Writing about it,
Mm.
uh, talking about it, feeling, and all of that. So that was the start of that one.
Mm. Gotcha. Gotcha. And so maybe you can share what tools you personally used in helping you to metabolize that grief that you had over losing your mother, and sort of, maybe touch upon the tool and where did that tool come from?
I think that one of the most important tools that we could have is the creativity, because the language of the soul is not in the mind
Mm.
ever. We could say a lot of things around what we think, what are our thoughts about our feelings, but when you make some creativity and imagination and put symbolism in material things, that's why the mantras or the ceremonies or all that kind of tools that I uh, take to really make a profound work, they work because they make like another trail
Mm-hmm.
and escape from the mind, that kind of
Mm.
approach. And a lot of the time I'm in the mind, so I make
Ah,
the effort not to be there, because I
gotcha.
have a lot of explanations for my own pain and for the others' pain.
All right.
So in my private practice, around I've been working around that 30 years. I realized that there is a moment that the patient cannot go through something because the mind doesn't let. There's a
Mm.
lot of explanation. So we need to make
Right.
another way to really connect the emotions. So as you said at the beginning, for me the most important things, always, is the connection, is the relation with with the client. First of
Mm-hmm.
all, no matter
Yeah.
what they bring, what problem they bring to the to my office, I really care about building the connection, the
Mm.
relation with them, first of all. And then
Yeah.
when they trust, they can do anything because of
Ah,
trust. They can do mantras, they can do ceremonies, anything, because they have this trust.
right. Right. So when somebody comes to you and they have some, you know, deep emotional wound, let's say they're, maybe a parent was a narcissist or they were abused or something as a child. What kinds of tools would you use to work with them? How would you once you've built the trust, kind of how would you guide them to help them to process what they've experienced?
I think that there are like three huge steps around that. The first
Mm-hmm.
one is just listening, 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 and listening, and not judging whatever they need to say. And I said to them, I really won't judge you.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't believe that at the beginning because, we when we are hurt and we have this kind of pain, the first thing that we feel is that we are going to be judged by someone else. So I make the time for that, like telling them that I won't judge them and I will stay no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I really do that. I stay. I get some. I'm quiet around all the story that they are sharing to me. And when they pass this first step, that they really feel that they are not being judged by me, or that they feel comfortable to say everything. And it could take 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. I don't know. It depends on the person.
Right.
After that, I start to ask them why they really what are the things that they really love,
Mm-hmm.
because I make that step like to really have a different narrative around not being identified with your trauma, because we think
Mm-hmm.
that our personality and our destiny and all of that is around the trauma or around the pain, and we are more than that. So that
Mm-hmm.
would be the second step. The second step is, what do you really love in life, in your life, without having this trauma? What do you
Mm-hmm.
really love?
Mm-hmm.
And in that second step, I give all that kind of tools to write about it, to imagine a life without the trauma or without that pain, all these kind of narratives and creative tools. And the third part is to really enjoy your life, like what makes you be happy in life, to really
Mm-hmm.
make some goals that you forgot that you had because you were dealing with this kind of pain or trauma, and to really work on them. I
Mm-hmm.
had last week a patient wrote me and she said, finally I did it. I don't see her
Uh,
anymore, and she said, I did it.
uh,
Yes, I love it. So more or less is that's the journey.
all right.
Not all of them stay to all that journey,
Mm-hmm.
but almost all of them, believe me, almost all of
Wow.
them. Yeah.
And is there something you think is key to kind of hit that turning point for someone where they can, instead of focusing on their pain so much, to then focus on what they want out of life, focus on creating something new? Is there some key to being able to make that switch?
We need to stay with a client, with a patient, the time that they need to make another narrative from them for themselves. We need
Hmm.
to stay as long as
Hmm.
it takes so they can release that from them, from their souls, from their minds,
Hmm.
and they will prove you. We
Hmm.
will prove people if they will stay with us. You said at the beginning, they need to
Hmm.
be here, they need to be seen, really here.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they will make tricks to you as a
Hmm.
as a therapist, and they will put you some kind of proofs around that, because we are survivors of pain and trauma.
Hmm.
We have a lot of kind of traumas and pain. Not all of us have the same ones or the strong
Hmm.
ones, but we really want to be here. So they will stay as long as they need to really feel safe and to be here and seen.
Hmm.
And if that happens, they will
Hmm.
relax. We will
mm,
we relax when when we feel safe. So after that, the heart is open forever. No
mm,
matter what,
mm,
no matter how shadows you have
mm,
inside of you, you feel safe to show all the things that you are and that you
mm,
are not also. So
yeah,
I think that that is the best way to really connect, to stay
mm,
no matter what. And they will give, we as people, we if we want to really trust in someone, we will say to them almost all our secrets, almost.
mm,
And we will see what will be their reaction to
mm,
that. I have clients that they said to me, you know, I really hate my daughter. And I said, okay, let's
mm,
talk about it. Why?
mm.
And I said, sometimes you're so brave because in some points, we hate our kids in some points because we are human and they are really tough with us. And sometimes we hate them and that's okay. So,
Mm.
you know, something like that.
I see. I see. It's sort of being able to admit those deep, dark secrets that, we don't want to say out loud in public, but when there's that connection, when there's that bond with someone, that then we can feel safe to say it.
Yeah. And we are really afraid to have these feelings. We are really afraid, you know, to hate.
Mm,
And there are reasons for these kind of emotions. And yes,
mm,
we will talk about it, but yes, we have the right to feel, but we don't let us to feel because we are really afraid to be rejected or abandoned
mm,
or whatever.
mm,
But we can feel it. And
mm,
if someone let us to feel it and to
mm,
be part of that, we can release that.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
So you live down in Mexico, you work with people there. It's a little bit of a different culture than here in the United States. I'm just curious, are there different kinds of challenges you have with working with people down there compared to people from other countries, or is it pretty universal?
It's universal. The
Uh,
language of the heart and the soul is universal. So
mm,
it's not cultural. Cultural stuff is another thing, but the language of the heart and the soul is universal.
mm, okay, okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to maybe go a little bit more into what someone can do for themselves, like if they're not working with a therapist, but they're having difficulty, what processes someone might be able to do on their own to help, okay?
Perfect.
Wonderful. So everyone, please stay tuned. You're listening to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. We do this every third Wednesday, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on talkradio.nyc and all over social media. And we'll be right back with our guest, Dr. Gina Goldfeder, author of the book, Releasing the Emotional Wound, in just a moment. Are you a spiritual seeker? Are you interested in expanded states of reality? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant. And on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will dive into these topics with authors, teachers, researchers, and guides. Tune in at our new time, Wednesdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Wednesdays, 12 noon Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
And welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. We're speaking this hour with Dr. Gina Goldfeder. So Dr. Gina, if someone's listening to this and maybe they don't have a therapist they work with right now, but they are, dealing with emotional challenges from the past, what tools can we give them? What path can we at least, point them in the direction of to help them in dealing with these pain and these challenges?
There is an easy tool, really
Mm-hmm.
easy when you practice it, that it's being your own observer of your
Mm,
thoughts, of your feelings. I will give an example. Maybe you are in a store and someone said to you something that it was rude to you, and then you feel sad or you feel angry or whatever, and then you can ask this question:
mm,
what this situation says said about myself, said about me? What is this situation is telling me something about myself? So
mm,
there are two tools, very easy ones, that it's being that observer around questioning yourself.
mm,
When you feel uncomfortable, don't put all your energy outside with the other ones.
mm,
Why I'm feeling uncomfortable? Why I am feeling sad? The other day I was looking at a podcast and I start to cry. The
mm,
podcast was around a stranger giving flowers to a strangers in a street
mm,
and all the reactions around that.
mm,
And then I realized that I was crying. And then I
mm,
asked to myself, why am I crying? And then my answer to that was, there was a long time that I haven't received flowers.
oh,
Actually, flowers from my husband. And
ah,
then I asked to myself, what can I do around that? And my
mm,
answer was, and the funny and the adventure and the happiest thing that happened to me was that my answer was, I will give me to myself flowers. So yes, when you ask to yourself what's going on with yourself, you, in the practice, you stop to blame others or to give others the authority of your feelings, or you start to be free because
Mhm,
the decision was, I will give to myself flowers. And then the creativity came up because I start
mm,
to think, how do I will send to myself flowers? With notes. I will say to the, yes, I will send notes to myself. I will send some phrases of my book
mm,
in that notes that I will send it to myself, and I will send it every week, and I will choose them, and I will tell to the store, send it to me in a date that I will not know, as a
mm.
surprise. So
Oh,
yes, one of the tools is, and a huge one and a simple one, is to question yourself, to observe your thoughts and your feelings, and to say to yourself this question: what it says about me, not
mm,
others. I think
mm,
that it's a good start for that.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Um, the subtitle of your book is Shamanic and Psychological Tools to Transcend Trauma and Rebuild Your Life. How do you weave in the shamanic stuff?
Thank you for that. When the publisher said to me that they will write just shamanic, I was freaking out because I said, no, 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 don't do that. Please write psychological also, because they just wanted to put shamanic. And I
Hmm.
asked, why do you think that I do shamanic things? And they said to me, because you're a shaman. And I said, how come? because
Uh,
I'm a psychologist. I have
uh,
all my degrees in psychology. And the publisher said to me, in all the talks that we had together, all the things and the rituals and the things that you do in your life and with your clients
mm.
are shamanic. So it was a good surprise for myself to really,
Mm,
and she said to me also that another writers said to her, why you think that she's a shaman? And they were
mm,
like kind of upset.
mhm,
And it was really interesting to, and as I said to you at the beginning, I'm not staying in just one uh, thing of life. Like I'm not just a therapist, a psychological one.
mhm,
I really train myself and I really live in that part of myself in a
mm,
shamanic
mm. Well,
way.
there's an old saying that you're only a shaman if someone else calls you a shaman,
That's correct.
but if you call yourself a shaman, you're not really a shaman.
Or if you are in that club or
Yeah. Yes.
whatever, I don't know. But when my daughter went to study to the United States, I made a ritual around a lot of rituals
Uh,
around that. We made a box with all the memories and a lot of things.
mm,
That's a ritual. And
mm,
so when you make your life in two ways, like the emotional, the psychological, but also you put in the material world significance, like rituals, mantras, ceremonies around that. You're doing that
mm,
somewhere.
mm,
But
mm,
I think all of us are shamanic.
mm. Yeah.
We need to pay attention for that, but we make rituals. We said to ourselves some mantras, a good ones or a bad ones, but we
Mm.
are doing that all the time. Mhm.
Has a client like come to you and told you about a ritual that they created themselves that helped them in their process?
Yes, and I do two things around that. I work with them around the meaning of that.
Mm-hmm.
What are the thoughts? What are the feelings? What are the reactions, the body reactions around that? And
Mm-hmm.
why do they think that ritual helped them? So
Mm.
I observe with them that ritual, and
Mm-hmm.
I give them some new advices around that, or make new rituals
Mm.
with them. So with people that they are more rational, I need to build the trust first of all, the relation. If I cross that bridge, they do the same things, even that they cannot see them as rational as they are. But I need to build the relation with them first.
Mm.
After we can do whatever rituals,
Right,
ceremonies, mantras. But first of all, I need to work very hard in the relation, the therapeutic
right,
relation.
right, right.
Yeah.
So you've talked a bit and we've mentioned about the difference between the mind and the body and the heart. That the mind only kind of gets us so far when it comes to healing. Like talk therapy can be helpful, but to a point. But then to really bring the body into it, the somatic sort of practice. And I'm just wondering, how do you bring the somatic aspect into the healing process to help people with the emotional wounds?
I really pay attention around the symbols, around the things that they don't
Mm,
say in words, around the
mm,
behavior of the body. If
mm,
I really pay attention around how they said the things that they say, or how
mm,
they look at me in some point, or
mm.
so the most important thing around that is the things that they don't say,
Ah,
the silence,
mm-hmm,
the way turn off their voices or the way they move the body. Those are very quiet things,
Mm,
and they are shouting things.
mm,
So, because they are not saying that, I need to
mhm,
make some creativity around that. Let's
mm.
let's if I, for example, I said to them, if this thing that you said to me were a song, what kind of song it will be?
Ah.
What part of that song you will really enjoy to sing it? Sing it to me,
Mm,
and they sing
mm.
it, or
Wow.
or please make a drawing for this emotion that you all shared with me. Or sometimes, and this is a Mexican way of doing that. I'm not sure
Okay.
in the US, but in
Yeah.
Mexico, let's get out of here. Let's have a walk. And I
Ah,
take them out of my office and we have a walk.
nice. Nice. I really like that. I like that.
So yes, or let's be in silence the next 15 minutes and
Mm.
let's see each other eyes. It's strong.
Ah, yeah.
So
It's
you need to feel when you're stuck with your client or when he or she is they are stuck, and
mm,
let to be that happen, that to to really accept that something is not flowing,
mm,
not to give answers and to give solutions very quick. Let's
mm,
appreciate that moment because it's a strong one. It's the
mm,
most important thing. Actually, I
mm,
made a study 30 years ago around that the most important minutes of a session is the last two or three, and
mm,
the five or three after that, because the
mm,
client goes without saying something. And what I was doing in that study was to asking them to write what they didn't say in session.
mm.
And it was beautiful. It was very strong, a very strong study around that.
Wow.
30 years
That's
ago.
yeah. That's something. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Um, we've talked a little bit around spirit, around soul. What role does your own personal spirituality play in the healing work that you do?
My challenge in my own life and with my profession is that the only way for me to release your own wounds
Hmm.
is to forget in some point the story that has that wound,
Mm,
to really feel free to make your own choices no matter what, to
mm,
redefine yourself by your own terms. And you cannot do that with your thoughts. You need to do
mm,
that in a spiritual experience.
mm,
So the narrative, you need to figure out how to change your narrative, and you need to connect with your heart. Your heart always
mm.
knows. Actually, the heart knows more things that your mind knows.
Yes.
There's a lot of stories around that. There's not a clinic like yes, kind of a clinic that the name of it is HeartMath. They have
Yeah.
been studying the heart
Hmm.
around 20 or 30 years, and they know already that the heart has more neurons than the mind,
Hmm.
and the heart can anticipate what is going to happen around 5 seconds before it will happen.
Ah, that I
Yeah,
didn't know.
beautiful. You can see that study in their website.
Yeah, the Heart Math Institute. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what I try to do all the time with myself and my clients is to connect, to really connect with the body and the heart. And
mm,
then the explanations, you know.
mm, mm,
But to really ask the most important questions to your heart, and you will find the response or the answer in a simple one. You will hear yes or
mm,
no. If you ask to
mm,
your heart a huge question, you will
mm,
hear in your mind yes or no. No, not more than that.
mm,
All
mm.
the um, thoughts and all of that, that's another story. But
Yeah,
you will know. So yes, it's around that, more or less.
yeah, yeah. Um, I'm curious about, in the last few years, the world has gotten, it feels like much more complex, much busier, much faster pace. It feels like people are going through more and more challenges than ever before. When people come to you, do you have any advice or any tools to help with just kind of dealing with the day-to-day pressure of society changing so quickly?
Yes, one of the things that I invite them to do is to make a date with themselves. As Julia Cameron said in some part of her books,
Hmm.
yes, I made them as a tool. In some point, you need to make every week a date with yourself, not
Mm,
to resolve anything, just to be with
hmm,
yourself. So that's one of the
mm,
things. Another thing is to write their diaries, not around what they did in the day, around their passion, their fears, their commitment in some things in their lives. That's one of the things that I do with them. And
mm.
I make them to be, to promise to themselves, not to me, that they will stay in therapy at least 3 months.
Oh,
Yes.
uh,
And they stay much more than that.
long.
Very long. I know clients for 30 years. It doesn't mean that they've been with me 30 years, but when they have something important in their lives, they come back. They
Right,
work on
right,
that and they go
right.
to their
Yeah,
lives.
and it's really important to have that kind of professional support because coming in and having a session with a therapist is much different than just talking to your best friend about your problems.
Always. Yes, because your friend will tell you the things that they think that they are right or wrong. A professional will tell you always the truth. I hope so. A good professional. And a
Yeah.
professional doesn't need to make a client be dependent on you.
Hmm.
They will work for your freedom.
Right.
A good one. I
Right.
hope so.
A good one. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Gina, I know you have to run to another appointment. I really want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. And I hope that at least some of what we said reaches people and maybe triggers a little something to help people to support themselves in challenging times.
And yes, you have the book. You will see in Releasing the Emotional Wound a lot of
Hmm.
things that we couldn't talk about it today. But yes,
Yes.
I'm really thankful for your interest, and I hope that someone will hear this with their
Yes.
hearts, with their souls, and with their minds also. Why not?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I really hope your book, Releasing the Emotional Wound, gets into more and more people's hands.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. And of course, thank you, my loyal listeners who tune in each week. Without you, there is no show. And please remember, if you did miss any part of today's show, you can always catch the replay on talkradio.nyc and on your favorite podcasting platform, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find the Conscious Consultant Hour. Take care, everyone. We will talk to you all next week.